Hello and welcome to another episode of the Radiant Achiever Show. I'm Christine Howard, your host, and today I am very excited for my guest, Sheila Netti. And before I bring her on, I want to tell you a little bit about Sheila. Sheila Netti is a wealth empowerment coach with over 30 years of corporate IT, military, small business, and coaching experience. Sheila retired at the age of 55 using the same principles she teaches her clients. Sheila specializes in helping professional women and entrepreneurs create a new, powerful relationship with money to build true wealth and claim financial freedom. She helps you gain in the knowledge, confidence, and clarity required to create wealth and secure your financial future. Please join me in welcoming the radiant Sheila Netti. Hello, Sheila. Welcome to the Radiant Achiever Show today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Good. I'm glad you're excited. I'm super excited to have you, and especially excited to dive into this conversation of your journey answering your callings. So you ready to dive in?
Ready.
Perfect. Awesome. So I start with the same question every time, Sheila. Really would love for you to share what calling are you currently pursuing and why is this important to you to bring to life?
Well, I'm currently a wealth empowerment coach, and I would never have thought this would have been my calling, to be quite honest with you. It was an interesting way I got here. I had retired and thought, from a great IT career, and had decided that, okay, I'm going to retire. And that was my whole goal, right? To retire, and had enough money to retire at 55. And so thought I was just going to go travel and relax and do all of that stuff. And I had a good time for about a year or so. And then I was like, okay, is that it? Like, is that all there is? And I was like, no, it's not. And there was a lot of things going on, at the time, now being a few years ago, that made me see that the middle class was really being shrunk. Like the things that were going on was making it harder and harder for the middle class to make money as well as to grow wealth. And I realized that a lot of people did not know what it took or how to grow their money. They didn't know they didn't even have a vision. They didn't know exactly what they wanted. Everybody says, oh, retire. But what does that mean for you? What does that look like? And so I got compelled, if not by a vision that said that, okay, you need to help people. I decided to focus on women, particularly because, again, women are not really supported in some ways. It's a little better now. It's still got a long ways to go.
Yes, agreed.
On building wealth and having money and really being in control of their money. And so I decided that was my focus. I decided that was where I would go. That's what I would do. And it just felt like it was right. It was a good thing to do. I feel really strongly about really empowering women, therefore wealth empowerment coach, because I feel like for generations, middle class have not been taught anything about money. No one's shown us what to do, how to grow it, what's the best path, what's the best strategies, and then to be able to teach that to children, which is why I focus also on women, because then they can teach their children. And I really want to help women be able to expand this, not just for me teaching them, but for them to teach as many people as they can touch, so that we can really shift the conversation around money for the middle class. That's my whole.
Beautiful. And create that ripple effect. I love your story. So we're similar in that we both were in corporate, and although you retired, like I love that. And you were like, I'm done. I've got this freedom. I can do whatever I want. And then what was it exactly? Was it part of your passion in how you created your financial freedom and independence? Have you always been interested in the financial world? How did that translate to you being retired to getting this inspired idea to become a wealth empowerment coach?
Well, it has to do with the fact that I grew my money in order to retire at 55, right? So I've always been interested in money ever since I was a child. And my father had businesses when he was trying to grow his own company. It didn't quite work out the way he wanted, but it got me really interested in it. And I decided to learn as much as I could. But there was no course. You really had to just kind of learn through books and then through trial and error. And so
Right.
that's really what I did. And what pulled me toward helping other people is I had friends, always family, reaching out saying, "Hey, how are you doing this?"
Mm,
They'd see the difference, they'd see what we were achieving, and they'd be like, "Well, how did you do that?" And I would help them, obviously, but then I
right.
realized that if they needed that help, there's probably other people. And so when I was looking at what can I do to actually have a legacy, maybe provide even more of a legacy than
Mm,
I already was, what could I do? And this felt like the most compelling because it was where people asked me for help. So
yeah.
therefore it was like, okay, this makes sense. It feels good. Although I have to admit, when I first started this, I felt a little out of place, because I had to clarify, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to manage your money.
Right.
I'm going to help you learn everything you can in the financial literacy realm, as well as the
Mm,
strategies and the things you need to do in order to work more effectively with a financial advisor so that they are following your path, that they are actually doing things to
mm,
make sure that you are creating the financial vision that you want to create,
right.
something that they just kind of pull out of a algorithm and hope that it works. And so
Right.
this way you can be in charge of it because only you care as much as if more than anybody else about your own money and where you want to go. As much as a
Yeah.
financial advisor may be wonderful and really want to help you, if they're not you. So this
Right.
way you can make sure that's the partnership, and you know where you want to put your money and exactly in the different areas you want to grow based on your vision and what you want to
I
create.
love it. I love it. Well, two things I want to focus on and go back to from what you said is that number one is the fact that you were getting all this feedback and people were coming to you and what you had achieved yourself. It was so maybe obvious to other people that this was a great gift that you had, right? And how that you did see what was kind of going on around you and people coming to you, and you took that information and then did something with it, right? I think, and I want to focus on that because a lot of times we women tend to discount what we're really good at, and we say, "Oh, just we kind of downplay the gift that we have." And so I get that you had that uncomfortableness when you first stepped into it, and you had to clarify what piece of that picture you were stepping into and providing services for. And then the second piece, which I so love, and I'm so grateful you're doing what you're doing, because I so resonate with the women that you serve, because this was a similar story for me in that empowerment piece and how, and I will say for my own story, and we've had conversations about this, how hesitant I have been, for example, to hire a financial planner because I don't want to be run over by someone that I perceive has more authority and knowledge than me, right? And
Mhm.
so, what you're providing in helping women to really be empowered in their finances is that ripple effect. And I've been talking a lot about ripple effects today. That ripple effect is what we need in the world for sure. So
Sure.
kudos to you for following that, whether it's a calling, it's a gift, it's a talent, it's something that is part of what I think what you came in here to do in the world. So talk about a legacy. Yes, fantastic. Fantastic. So you talked a bit about how it kind of came to be. Did you what were some of those maybe early obstacles that you had to face personally when you decided to step into this calling and provide this empowerment, financial empowerment to women?
Well, as you probably have become aware, as well as any woman or any person who's ever gone into entrepreneurship, it is a personal growth journey, right? So when I first jumped in, I realized that I had a number of things I needed to work through from a personal standpoint, where I found that I was getting in my own way and even growing the business, questioning my abilities, questioning whether I should be doing this. So there's so many other people who, have more knowledge than me or been around longer. And I won't go into the names of those people who are
Right.
big, in the finance world.
Yeah.
But the key was, who am I? And so I really had to work through a number of those things. My favorite book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, was so intimate. I've shared that with you as well. It
Yep.
is my favorite book because it was really what helped me kind of start to step out of my own way and realize
Mm.
that I was, the example that comes to my mind in the book is all about creating this whole band-aid around this whole
Yes.
contraption around your pain, right? You
And
don't
it
want
just keeps
anybody to touch
bigger.
this,
Yeah.
right? You don't want anybody to touch it. So you create this whole contraption around this area that if somebody sticks it or touches it, you're gonna like go off and it's gonna hurt you and it's gonna, so you basically create all these things around it to protect yourself. And it made me realize that I had all these protections that maybe worked at some
Mm.
point. They were useful, so I'm not going to just say that, they were there and they were useful, but they were no longer useful. They were actually hindering me from being
Mm.
who I truly am. It was
Yeah.
really not allowing me to be me. And I realized that in order to really have this business work, I needed to be me. I needed to be
Oh,
uniquely me. And as long as I stayed there, people would be attracted, which is what happened. The minute I was
yeah.
able to release all of that and just say, I'm who I am, this is me, and I'm going to approach it the way I need to approach it, it'll work. As well as the fact that in some areas I needed some training. So I went
Yep.
ahead and got that from a psychological standpoint. There's a lot of psychology around money and emotional things you kind of have to work through in some cases. So I went ahead and got the right training and how to deal with that. But other than that, I had everything else. And
Yeah.
so that really released me to be me, is probably the best
Mm.
description.
I love it. I love it. It's such a powerful point because, as you said, entrepreneurship is a personal growth journey, and it's never more apparent, I think, where we're in this world with all these other entrepreneurs. We start to compare, we start to see where somebody's at, how they're saying it, what they're doing, and especially when we're starting out, like we do want to be successful. We genuinely want to help serve, and how we can get so hung up on trying to be like somebody else or doing, and again, there's certain strategies and business tactics that we need to learn, but if we're not willing to really just anchor in and be who we are in this particular whatever field we're in, it's gonna really hold us back. So I love that you saw that, you faced that, and you pulled the thorn out, right? You
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah. I stopped
I
protecting
love
the
it.
little thorn and pulled it out.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, who has Sheila become? How would you say you have shifted, personally, as a result of facing, pulling the thorn out, facing these whatever, obstacles or inner limiting beliefs that you saw and faced?
Well, who have I become? I'd say I have become more acknowledging of my intuition is probably the
Mm,
best way, because I've always used my intuition all the time, but I never really would have called it that.
ah,
And would not have, I never gave it the credit, if you will.
okay.
I would say, oh, it's my gut. People would say, oh, well, I've got a gut feeling about this or whatever, but I never really acknowledged that intuition was a real thing,
Ah.
and so as
Uh,
well as my mindset being so crucial. So some of the things we talked about, but it's also that knowing now that I have become more in touch with who I truly am, as well as the fact that accepting that I do have intuition, intuition is one of my abilities. And I need to accept that everybody does to some degree. I realize that mine, I'm more hypersensitive to it than I ever thought I was. I thought, oh, that's a
Interesting.
woo-woo thing, like who's, so, but now I realize that no, it's quite
Yeah.
real. And so I've become a lot more calmer, a lot
Mm,
more going with the flow. I definitely feel more at ease with life in general.
mhm.
And I actually say things like good thing, bad thing, who knows? It's actually a term I
Love
learned,
it.
a phrase I learned from Dr. Rao, Shrikama Rao. it's all about just accepting whatever is happening, and you don't necessarily have to judge it. You can just accept it and then kind of see where things go. Like, don't make a
Mm,
judgment about it. Just have it come, and whatever's coming is coming.
yeah.
Release the need to judge what's going on. And that's
Love
really been
it.
a big one for me, is
Okay.
shifting to a person who does not really judge what's happening. Of course, I still do some. I mean, we're
Yeah.
human
I
beings,
mean,
right?
we're human.
We're human
Exactly.
beings. But I'm in a definite better place where I can be more calm and more relaxed, and simply just kind of let things flow, and then
Yeah.
let them guide me, and then see where they go, and not
I
really
love it.
having some kind of prejudgment of what could be good, could be bad, you don't know.
Right. I love it. I love it. So intuition, and that was absolutely a big thing for me. And I'd love to dive a little deeper into this if you're willing to play along, because I believe we all have that intuition, right? And I refer to it very often as a muscle. And are we flexing that muscle, or I discounted it for many years. And so you and I go back a few years. I didn't necessarily, we can share that. That's, just nothing to hide there. And I know we've had conversations. I think we had similarities at certain points where we were living in our head, right? We
Yes,
were
right.
we were in IT, we were in the corporate world, we were analytical, ran projects and all that. So this is where we were, and we were so
Mhm.
disconnected from our intuition and our body wisdom. And I know that was conversations we both had, we had together
Mhm.
over the years of knowing each other. So I'd love to hear a little bit, because intuition is definitely a piece of it. How has that shift been for you, from a personal and a professional perspective, of really, acknowledging and using your head, but really reconnecting with all of your body wisdom?
Oh boy. Okay, so
It's a big one. Sorry. I just,
that's a big one, but that's okay. That's okay. I can hang with it. So it was that was definitely different and difficult, as you might be aware, right? So as we've talked about in the past, it's moving from your head, which is where you are in IT or any corporate. I think in any corporate setting, we tend to become, males, if you will, to some degree. Not to put men down, but we
yes.
to succeed, we ended up in our heads, and we also end up with a different attitude in order to succeed. We think we need that, not really realizing that we're kind of cutting off a good portion of who we are. Uh, and that portion is also very, very valuable in helping us really be good even in that space, right? So once I did, and I have to admit, it didn't happen until I went into this business, right? Where I really disconnected and reconnected to the rest of my body and really allowed emotions, because in business, like, you don't cry, you don't, it's business, right? No
Right.
emotions, right? And so to really tap into it and realize that by pushing emotions down into our bodies, the damage we do to ourselves. I mean, I realized that that whole time, by pushing the emotion into my body, I was actually creating a problem in my neck. So, and
Wow.
I'm still dealing with it and not realizing it, because as soon as I started getting in touch and reconnecting with my whole body and releasing being just up here and really being with all of who I am, I realized, first of all, I realized it was that's what was causing part of the problem. That was part of the problem. That was part of what I was doing. And knowing that if you just feel the emotions and have them go through you, and not realizing that just stuffing them is actually a recipe for disease,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
Because I ended up getting cancer, and I don't know if it's connected, but I actually believe it is. I believe
Hmm.
by not taking care of my body and staying in here, I actually end up with a cancer diagnosis. And so,
Hmm.
and when you think about what cancer is, it's rogue cells. Well, how do those rogue cells form? It's still kind of up for the discussion. But when you think about it, if you're forcing energy back into your body and it doesn't know what to do with it, it's
Yeah.
going to do something. It may
Negative
not be
energy.
exactly
Negative energy. Yeah.
negative energy back into your body. What's it supposed? We're all energy. We're all part of that. So
Right.
it's going to do something, And I don't know whether it did or not, but my belief is that it did. It helped to create an environment which allowed me to get sick. So,
Yeah.
and luckily by that whole process, through all of the learnings from that, I was able to reconnect with my body and actually I'm cancer free. So it's that learning, not that I think that's the best way.
Yeah,
It would have
right.
been nice to,
Because we have similar stories in that for sure. Yeah.
it would have been nice to learn it a different way, but
Right.
however it came, the lesson came, right? So and so connecting to yourself, you just realize if you just feel it and let it go and let it go through you, you're in such a better place. It is temporary. It will come through.
Yeah.
And then taking whatever lesson you can learn from it, whatever the lesson, the learning is so key. If you just look at it from that angle, then it'll just pass right through you. Is it easy? No, I'm not going to say it's always fun,
Yeah. No,
because
no.
it's
Yeah.
not. But at the same time, it's so beneficial because that's what human beings, we're supposed to be being, not
Being, I
just
love
doing.
that.
And
Yeah.
so that's really the key for me. That's really what it took
Beautiful.
me through.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I so appreciate you being willing to dive into that because, again, I know that was key for you. It was key for my story. And I know that it's something that a lot of other women out there are doing and not realizing the impact that it's having. So if we want to have these fulfilling, radiant lives where we're expressing all of ourselves, we need to be connected to all of ourselves, right? And
Mhm.
then let those emotions flow. And I love that you brought up the non-judgment, because whether it's a situation that's occurring or even our emotions, how we can judge ourselves or judge other people when they're dealing with their emotions. And the more we can just give it space, let it be, and then see what it's about. I like to use, and I'm sure this is part of what you do, getting into wonder and curiosity.
Mhm.
I wonder what this is. And when I was doing a lot of my work and I was getting triggered, like different things would trigger me, and I knew the trigger was to help me. It was being given to me as a gift to help me really bring up that stuff I had stuffed, and to bring it to, it's coming now to the surface. And now let me see it from a more empowered perspective versus a judgmental perspective. And then how can I let that go? So Surrender Experiment was, or yeah, Untethered Soul for sure was one of the key books in my life too. So appreciate that. So let's talk about professionally what has shifted for you since you've stepped into, doing your clearing work, stepped into your more empowered self, right? As a woman, as a business leader, with somebody here with a legacy to create or an impact, a message to bring to the world. What's changed for you professionally?
Well, my business started going a lot better once I shifted. So that was a major shift. I realized that I started that shift last year, and it was amazing how opportunities would just appear, like, and not
Mm,
have to really. Yes, I was doing the work. You're doing all the things they tell you to do that fit you. That's another one. Making
mm,
sure that the strategies that you use in any business you're doing, that it fits who you are. When I did other strategies that did not fit me,
yeah.
nothing happened. Like, I would get nowhere. And if there's anybody out there listening, who's experienced that, that's what you might want to look at. Does it really fit you? And I'm not talking about not stretching you, because stretching is important. And I think it's important for us to grow. But at the same time, if it's totally against who you are, it's not going to work. The
Yeah.
energy that you put out, well, you'll feel it. So for me, shifting over to just saying, okay, it needs to fit me, it needs to feel good, it needs to feel like it's pulling me toward where I want to go, that it's
Mm,
stretching me in a good way, in a positive way. And when I started flowing into that and doing it, things started flowing. I didn't,
yeah.
it's amazing.
It just happens.
Um,
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
happens. And every time I kind of pull back and start maybe falling back into that old way, things stop. They stop almost
Mm,
immediately. It's amazing. And then the minute I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then I go back and I'm like, okay, let's just release all of this. Let's get back into the flow. Let's just, and then things start coming.
yeah. Love
So
it.
it really is about who I think it's energy and who you, and the fact that you know, and the inner knowing that, again, about, that it's going to come, that it's working, that you're doing what you need to be doing, that
Yeah.
you are knowing that it will all work out, knowing that the opportunity exists, that abundance is everywhere, and you just have to just,
Mm.
it'll flow to you as long as you
Mhm.
feel like it will,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it will. If you feel like it won't, well, you get,
Ex-
that's the result you're going to get.
Exactly.
And I
So
really
align.
feel like that's important.
Yeah. So I hear alignment. So what the word that keeps popping in my head is when we are aligned with who we authentically are. And again, I've done very similar, same exact work with you, and how I've tried different things, listened to different people. And I've, you always learn something. And at the same time, it comes back to, so I love some of my coaches really helped instill in me. I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I'm a this, but it's always up to you and what feels right for you. Whether it's wording on a bio, whether it's a description of a program, whether it's a tactic or a different approach, whether you do video or blogs or this or that, a 5-day summit versus whatever. It's what feels aligned for you. So I love that you have so dialed into that being a foundational question you ask yourself is, how does this feel, right? So again, going back to when you're in your body, you're going to ask, how does it feel versus what do I think?
Right, exactly.
It's a completely different energy. When I've been listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks lately, and it's again like, do you feel more satisfied or less satisfied in this thing? And does it feel more good or less good? And let the feeling be the guidepost on which way to go. And
Mhm.
absolutely, there's work, some work we're going to enjoy more than other work, and it's part of the nature of entrepreneurship. There's a lot of hats we wear until we can hire somebody for those pieces. That's,
Right.
those are things you do. But even within that, so alignment was one thing. There was, oh, and then the trust, right? So, or the trust or the knowing. I think a lot of what I've been focusing on is what you said is, oh, I don't trust it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And when I know, and then, like you said, and I see this in you compared to the last time we saw each other face to face, you do have this just beautiful calmness and peace and like a really grounded presence to you. And I see it's part of the work that you've been doing, is that knowing, like, I know it's all unfolding in its perfect timing. I know I'm, doing what I can and need to do to keep myself, moving toward it myself. And at the same time, with that knowing, you're open to things happening without you even lifting a finger. It's those synchronicities that I love experiencing. So beautiful, like recapping what you're experiencing. So let's talk. This isn't a question, but I'm going off the cuff here a little bit. Synchronicities. Do you have a cool, fun synchronicity that's happened to you recently, or something that is a testament to, when you're in flow, these are the kinds of things that can happen to you?
Well, yeah, there's just recently I decided to really just go into ease and flow, just letting things go and just release, and being relaxed with my business, still doing my actions, but really being relaxed. And sure enough, I got 2 new clients.
I
I
love
not doing anything. I didn't do
it.
anything. I feel like that again comes from, yes, I did work prior, but then I just relaxed because nothing had been happening,
Yeah.
right? I hadn't had any new clients for a little bit. And so I was like, this is maybe it's time to just, really tap into ease and flow, and we'll see what happens. And then
Oh
that's what
my gosh.
happened. So
I
yes.
love it.
So, and every time I do that, last year, same thing. I did a similar thing and I got 5 new clients. So
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do I need to learn this lesson?
Right.
So I think now I've learned it, I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I
So
love
yeah.
it. Well, and I love that that you see this and that you are backing off. You are, because again, ambitious women, entrepreneurial women that have a passion to bring something to life, we can get in that push push to make things happen. And not that there aren't times when we're launching, something. And certainly I know when my book was like the 2 weeks leading up to my book, there were a lot of actions, but it was like a lot of things to complete to launch, but it wasn't me necessarily pushing, right?
Mhm.
But that pushing is a completely different energy. And I always love connecting with entrepreneurs that get that see that feel it, and that they adjust accordingly, because that for me is how I aspire to live my life and bring and to grow my business from a place of ease and flow, and not pushing. So I love hearing your examples, and how it's truly like showing up in new clients in your business. That is amazing. And not amazing. It's to be expected almost, right?
It's to be expected, and but it's so
Yeah.
funny how it's still amazing. Amazing
Yeah,
that's
because we're not used to it. We're still getting used to it. And again, I think it's great to acknowledge it and be in gratitude. And like you said, how many times is it going to take me to learn the lesson? I get you with that. And for me, it's like a daily reminder. I have a little, each week I plan out my hot list or short list for the week. And then, but the top right corner, I say, here's all the feelings that I want to experience. So it's from joy and playfulness to ease to accomplishment to support. And like, these are, I know when I focus on the feeling side, it's just as important as looking at the task list. Do you do anything similar, or
I do actually. I have some words that are actually feeling, core decided feelings, mostly from Danielle Laporte,
Daniel Laporte? Yep.
and I have them on my phone. So healthy, joy,
Mm,
contentment, ease are my
beautiful.
main ones.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a great tip and suggestion. So let's shift into this next question, is talking about inner powers. And I know you mentioned intuition. I'm not sure if there's anything else that you would speak to, but like, what is an inner power that you've engaged, or and that's been pivotal, or something you continue to engage in your life?
I don't know if you consider it, well, I know you do because mindset, because
Yes, it's a
mindset is
power.
kind of key. And because I'm thinking as I say it, I'm like, well, she definitely agrees with this. Because mindset has been so pivotal. I can't even, like, it is so crucial to everything. And it has been my main shift by
Mm,
tapping into to a positive, and I'm not saying it's not that Pollyanna kind of
right.
positive. It's
Thank you
more
for saying
so,
that.
it is being positive, looking at everything, as I said before, with good thing, bad thing, who knows, just shifting how I think about things, because how you think about things creates everything, right?
Yeah.
So if we just changed how we thought about things and how we saw them, it would allow us to bring in, I think, the more positive things into our lives, because that's what we're looking for and that's our focus. Um,
Hmm.
and if our mindset is on all the negative stuff that is happening in the world or around us, or we think is somehow, affecting, then that's what we're going to get more of. And I have to admit, I never, years ago, this was not what I thought, right? I didn't realize it. But now I realize that's exactly why I got what I got. Meaning I've got to retire at 50 because I believed it and I focused my
Mm,
energy on it, and I've had a positive mindset that it was going to happen, period. Right.
wow.
And so I have proof that it happened before without even really understanding that that was what was
Interesting.
going on. Right
Yeah.
now, I understand that those thoughts are critical. Your thoughts and what you think are so critical to what you have, your results and your outcome. And then,
Yeah.
but focusing on that and then releasing the outcome, not necessarily grappling onto it
Mm,
showing up in a certain way, is so critical as well, because I've had abundance in ways that I didn't expect it. Like I focused on one thing I really wanted and it came a different way. So by releasing how it's going to show up, but focusing on the positive actions I can take, the positive, abundance and the, I want to say that, not just positive, I'm grappling with some words here, but
right.
to come up with feeling, I think that the feeling of joy and ease and contentment by staying in that space. And again, this is not like, things are, seeing the world for what it is and seeing what's happening, but you can change how it affects your body and you and
Mhm.
your emotional state. And that's really the key, because you can decide to let it affect you or not.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you ignore it and you don't deal with it, whatever that happens to be. You do the bet you take actions that make sense for you to help change something you see that maybe you don't like. But at the same time, by staying in a more positive state yourself,
Right.
you can see positive actions that you can take.
Yes.
That's probably the best way,
Totally.
because you
I
can
love
see
that.
it.
Right, right. Because when we're in the negative, and I like to compare like an empowered mindset versus, for example, like a victim or a mindset. And when it's so true, right? Whatever we're focusing on is what we're going to see more of. So if we're shut down in negativity and victimhood or anger or whatever that is, we're going to start seeing more results that validate our perspective, right? Or more examples that validate versus the positive. So and then that opens you up. Here's a thing that I've been doing a lot lately with my clients and with my mastermind is I keep telling them I believe the universe is talking to me 24/7. And like if I just look in my field, everything is there. Like all the next step is right in front of me. And I just journaled this morning 3 things that came into my field, just very unplanned, synchronistically, that are little nuggets of information for me on my journey. And that's happening because I'm open, like you said, and I'm focused on the positive vision of my life. I'm focused on my positive vision of whatever project I'm working on. So I love that that's a piece. It's the second power in my book that I talk about. I know you've read the book. So we cannot emphasize enough the power of our mindset, because the thoughts are energy again, right? It all goes back to, and like attracts like. If we know this, but it's good to repeat it. Like attracts like. So you put those empowered, positive thoughts out there, and that's what's going to be drawn to you into your physical reality. So I love that you saw that for yourself, and that's been a really pivotal piece. And I'm sure that's a big part of what you are teaching too with your clients, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Just like if I definitely say stay away from the just pure affirmations. Like if you have debt and you say,
Mm.
I'm out of debt, well, first of all, your brain knows better. You're not going to, it's not going to help you. It's actually going to create a whole um, negative loop, if you will, in your
Mm.
body. Instead of saying, okay, I have debt. Now, what steps can I take to move me closer to being out of this? Like what steps, focusing on that. It doesn't ignore, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about anything negative around you. You don't ignore it, but you focus on what positive actions can I take to shift this, change it, move it to where I want it to be. And
Yeah.
so that alone, even if because some of the bigger stuff happening in our world, sometimes that alone, that if everybody's energy shifted to what positive steps we can take to shift something, we would
Yeah.
be doing a lot more, because we'd see a lot more
Totally.
positive things shifting
Totally.
all over the place. So I think that's really the key. You focus on what positive actions can I take to deal with this
Yeah.
issue, challenge.
Yeah.
I like to say challenge versus issue.
Challenge. Right.
Um,
Right.
and then you can shift it. Then you'll see, and what will appear in your filter are the actions you can take to make a difference and to actually
Beautiful.
change it.
Beautiful. Well, it sounds like what you help them do is shine a light on it, right? So you're not ignoring the debt. You're facing it, you're shining a light on it and saying, like, here's where I am, and there's a next step for me to move to where I want to go, right? Versus
Right.
the Pollyanna of I'm debt free. So I love you are such a grounded person, and you really blend so many different um, not perspectives, but elements that really are built on really strong foundational principles of co-creation, of manifesting, of finances. So yeah, I'm just so excited that you're at where you're at in your life and your journey. And one thing I want to mention is, because we have known each other for a while, and for those of you who maybe this is your first time being introduced to Sheila, she has a gorgeous photo on her. It's in your newsletter. Is it also on your website? I'm
It's
sure.
on my
And your
news. It's in
website.
the website.
And when
Yeah.
I saw, listen, so this girl was like in the service. What were you in? The Army or the
The
Navy?
Navy. The Navy.
Navy. This girl's in the Navy. So think about like straight lace, jacket, hat, right? You had the whole cap. You were very like, just like this officer, right? So seeing you in letting your beautiful feminine essence shine, which I know, you know, isn't maybe how, something you were accustomed to or used to really, but the more I think you got in your body, the more you let that shine. And it just warmed my heart to see you glowing the way you are glowing. And it's because it's not because you got a new hairstyle or anything like that. It's like you are just owning and authentically being you, and you're loving it, and it shows.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one thing to take these actions. You don't always know how it portrays.
Yeah.
I feel really good. So,
Yes.
but to actually have it captured in a
Seriously.
picture, it's
And I think
amazing.
that's why people say, oh, I'm not good in photos. It's because there's so many parts of themselves that they feel bad about, or that are repressed, or that are hidden, that when you start to do that clearing work, and whatever, in any area of your life, right? The clearing in the
Mhm.
finances, with old hurts about relationships, with your career or your calling, whatever that is, when you start to do that work, more of your natural essence. And I know your journey has been, yes, you're in this entrepreneurial, world, but your work has been really looking at your whole life, every aspect of your life, to bring all of you out in a really natural way. So this is awesome that we swirled into this conversation.
Thanks.
I love it. So this is a perfect next question: is what does being a radiant achiever mean to you?
Wow. I think it comes back again to being you, like being all of you, and being uniquely you. And I say that because we're always pushed to fit, to belong, right? And there's belonging that we want to have, but at the same time, we should not release being who we are. And we're from very young age really pushed into being, you don't want to be seen, you don't want to be kind of standing out, because then that might cause a problem or whatever. And I think it's time to just release all of us. And that's really the whole thing about being a radiant achiever, is releasing who you are, being totally who you are, who you came here to be, and not letting anything hold you back from that.
Mhm.
And a lot of times there's a lot of inner work that's needed in order to really unlock this, because
Yeah.
we've been trained. It's almost like we're born this way, right? Where everything was out and we were who we are. And then we got pushed down and controlled and kind of squeezed into these different same little size boxes, if you will. And then now we have to bust out and be who we are through our own journey again, to really become the person we were always meant to be. And that's really what, to me, and what you hit in your book dramatically in all the different areas, is being who you are. Being
Mm.
by being who you are, you radiate beautifully, with whatever your talents, whatever your gifts, whatever, you just embrace them and embrace life. And while you're
Yeah.
doing all of that, it just all comes together. The
Mm.
joy, the ease, the flow. It feels so much better. We I think when you're a radiant, you just feel good every day. Again,
Right.
not there aren't going to be bad days, so I always like to make sure I don't.
Right.
But
This isn't
but it's
Pollyanna. It really isn't.
it isn't Pollyanna. There is a way to deal with life's, ups and downs, that allows you to still be you and still feel joy.
Hmm. Well said. I love your description of being a radiant achiever. And it's you. I mean, I see that that's what you embody yourself. So thank you. I think your nuggets and your journey is going to help a lot of women to sit back and see, maybe how that relates to them and how they're showing up or not showing up for themselves. So that leads to my last question. And for everybody who's watching or listening to the Sheila, that they have something calling to them, but they're on the fence and they just, maybe haven't stepped into it yet. What wisdom, advice, suggestions would you have to give to that person today?
I think the biggest thing is to use, I want to say, step into curiosity, right? So step into what is it trying to say to you? What are you being called to do? And more so, from if you look at it from curiosity, you just ask questions and then wait for the answers. Getting yourself in a quiet space and being able to ask questions, and that being open to however the answers show up for you will
Hmm.
help you see that this is truly what you should be doing. If it's not, you won't get you won't get the feeling, you won't get the connection, you won't get an answer that really says, yes, this is it.
Hmm.
And that's okay. It might be something else. But I think if you're feeling called to do something, then really step into it with curiosity and give yourself the space to really open up to it and see if it's truly what you want to do. And if it is,
Mm.
then give yourself permission to try, to start,
Love
to
it.
to just start it. You don't have to jump all the way in necessarily. I've always done everything strategically. Okay. So you do it in a strategic way so that you still feel like you're stretching and you're moving toward what's calling you, but at the same time, you create a certain amount of safety around it so that,
Yeah.
but as the more and more you open up to it, the more safer you feel about
Hmm.
moving toward what's calling
Mm.
you.
Beautiful. Curiosity and wonder.
Mhm.
That is so powerful. Giving yourself the space and then permission, things that women struggle with, right? Oh, yeah, we have a whole conversation
Yeah, we
on
could have a
giving
conversation
ourselves,
on that.
giving ourselves permission. So solid, beautiful advice. Some things I have done for myself when I wasn't saying yes is everything that you said. So thank you for that, Sheila. Lots of wisdom that you have, my friend, lots of wisdom. And before we wrap up, I'd love for you to share, if people are interested in learning more about you, the work you do as a financial empowerment coach, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, the best way would be to go to my website and you can grab my free gift. It's SheilaNetti.com, SheilaNetti.com. It'll probably be in the show notes somewhere.
Yes, I will
And
absolutely put that in the show notes. Yep.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so yeah, reach out and grab my free gift, and that'll get you in my on my email list. And I will be sharing lots of strategies and information, mindset shifts, all those things in my emails that I send out.
Beautiful. You have a great email. I love it. Actually, I was scrolling through some things before our call. And I'm like, ooh, that's a great topic. I have not read that one yet. So I'm gonna make it some evening reading tonight or the next couple nights to go back and catch up on some of your nuggets of financial wisdom, or empowerment wisdom there. Sheila, seriously, this has been amazing. I always love connecting with you. And it's even more special for me for us to have this conversation that now is here in perpetuity, that we can share with other women and men that come across us and are feeling called to listen to the show. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. This has been a very fun conversation.
Oh, good, good. Well, everybody else, thank you for joining us. I hope you walked away with some great nuggets to help you on your journey, whether it's as an entrepreneur, as a woman, as owning your finances, or any other aspect that resonated with you. And I look forward to being with you again soon on another episode of the Radiant Achiever Show. Bye for now.